this season that you are entering into is going to require a level of boldness like you've never had before. This is not the season to shrink back. This is the season to claim the territory. This is the season to possess the land. So just flow with me for a moment, because I believe this will be a blessing and an encouragement for someone today. So in another message that the Lord gave me, and I don't know when that message will be posted, I just record as the Lord leads and then upload as he directs. But in that message, I talked about, as a watchman, what the enemy was trying to do in this season for some, and the weapon that the Lord had been given, has given for those who that message is for. And what God is also saying is that as you're going into the season, to not be afraid, because he has already directed the path. So when I was in prayer the other day, and I was reading in my word, and the Lord brought me back into Numbers, and in Numbers chapter 21 and I believe 22 and 23, but specifically in 21, Moses had been leading the people to another area, and the Lord specifically tells Moses to not be afraid, because he had already delivered the people onto Moses and his people. That the Lord had already delivered the people who were coming up against them, the army that was coming up against them, that God had already delivered the people to them, to not be afraid, and to do unto them as they did to the other people, but that he would direct their path. You see, what God is saying in this hour is that God has already directed your path. God has already made the way. God has already opened the door. God has already said this is the promise. The only thing that will hinder you seeing the promise here in the natural, not that God will not deliver, because he will deliver through someone else in your bloodline, if you do not receive the promise in your life, because God is a God of his word. He holds his word above all else, because Jesus Christ is the word, right? And so what God is saying for you to not miss the promise of what he's doing in this hour, in this season, is that you cannot be afraid. You must go boldly, and you must possess the land the way that he is calling you forth to possess it. You see, when God gave Moses the instruction on how to possess the land, they were not just, some kind of hit or miss instruction. They were very specific. In Numbers, I believe it's 21, God tells Moses that you have to do the same thing that you did to the other people, to this people. That you have to smote them the same way, because he's already delivered them to you. Like, you already have the victory. You just have to go in and do it how I'm telling you to do it. So the instruction for those who this is for those who are walking in through this door, because the door is already open. For those who are birthing the promise is already there. You've got to go through the birthing promise. For those who this is for, you have to do so with a level of boldness that you have not had before. This is the time to now go boldly before the throne. This is the time to go boldly in your spiritual warfare, in warring against the enemy. This is your time to go boldly in the thing that God has placed in your hands to do, and put your hands to the plow. This is your time to boldly declare that you are the head and not the tail. You are above and not beneath. You're the lender and not the borrower. This is the time to boldly declare what God has said is for you. None can be against. This is the time to boldly declare that God has already gone ahead of you and has delivered the land to you, that he has delivered the promise to you, that he has delivered the territory to you, that he's delivered the business, the marriage, the promise, the child, whatever that is, that will all be for your good and to the glory of God and the good of many others. But this is the time, in this hour. You see, when Moses and the people went up against them, they didn't go in thinking that God had not done it. They went in knowing that God had already delivered it. They just had to go and capture it. They just had to go and seize it. They just had to go and take what it was that God had already said is for them. And that is the direction in this hour, in this season. This is so critical. This is a critical season for many, because God has made the way. Now it's time for you to go and get it. And God is saying he's made the way. He's giving you the instruction, just as he did in Moses in Numbers in 21, when he gives Moses the instruction on what to do. Follow the instruction, because then we see later on in Numbers, I think it's 22 and 23, when people were going their own way, Balaam, and did not listen to the instruction of the Lord, and how the angel of the Lord was there with the sword about to take Balaam down. This is not the time to play that game. You want to enter into what it is that God is saying is for you, that's for your good and the good of many others and the glory of God. This is not the time to go and think it's a better way to do it. It is not the time to think in your own flesh and thinking you can do it this way because this makes more sense, because man-made wisdom says this. This is the time to move in a wisdom like King Solomon. This is the time to move with the wisdom of the Lord, with the wisdom of Holy Spirit that he will graciously give to you because he gives it without reproach when you ask for it. This is the time to move in wisdom, to move in faith, to move not in fear, not in anxiousness, because God does not give us a spirit of fear nor anxiousness. He gives us love, power, and a sound mind. This is the time to move boldly. It is the time to go forth boldly and to go forth on the path specifically that God directed for you, because the enemy is trying to throw you off your path and say, that's not the path. Do it this way over here. Do it that way over there. Do it the way they're doing. No, do not listen. Listen to the path, the idea, the strategy, the wisdom that the Lord specifically gave to you. Stay on that path, because when you stay on that path and you do not fear and you go boldly in the way that God has called you forth to do, you will go in and the land will be delivered to you. The promise will be delivered. The birth will happen and you will receive the promise. Believe the word of the Lord. Believe that if this is for you, still take it back to the Lord in prayer. If it's not, Holy Spirit will bring it to you at its appointed time. But believe that for the ones that this is for, go boldly. Stay in alignment on the path that God has and do it with no fear. With no fear. Do not give the enemy a place in your mind. Do it with no fear. Go boldly. I pray this is a blessing and an encouragement for someone today. Now is the time. Go forth on the path that God has directed. Y'all be blessed.